From the moment you earned your first paycheck, you've been sold a story, a lie. Go to school, get a job, save diligently, trust the system, invest in the market, cross your fingers, and just wait for 40 years. At the end of that yellow brick road, maybe you'll be able to retire. It might sound like the responsible thing to do because everyone else is doing it as well, but here's the reality. The problem is this: it's a story designed to keep you obedient and dependent, not independent, not free. But here's what no one tells you. Most people don't retire. They just stop working and they start worrying. In fact, let me give you a statistic. More than half the people retired today rely on Social Security for more than 50% of their income. They're relying on a broken government promise just to get by, which ultimately means they're living their retirement years, what were supposed to be their golden years, in worry and stress and wondering if they're going to have enough and if their money's going to run out. That doesn't sound like retirement to me. What they imagined when they were working towards retirement, they imagined beach houses, grandkids, freedom, dreams, bucket lists. But what they got instead is budgeting apps, medical bills, and the stress of making their money last 30 years. That's the biggest fear that most people have once they get into retirement is, am I going to outlive my money? The retirement dream, it's a movie trailer, but the full film, it's not what they paid for. Why? Because the system teaches you to chase accumulation, not income. They teach you to trade 40 years of your life, put your money into an account, hope that account gets big enough, and one day, with a big enough account, you can sell off into the sunset. What they never actually talk about is the one thing required to actually allow you to retire. How much income do your assets produce? How long will that income last? How does that income rise with inflation? Unless you know the answers to those questions, you are always going to be stuck in the game of personal finance. That's why most people trade the best years hoping to enjoy a few good ones at the end. And the thing that makes me most sick to my stomach about this whole game is that's not freedom. That's gambling with the one thing that you never get back: your time, your life. My friends, the next 40 years of your life are going to go by one way or the other. Why not let them go by empowered with money, where you're financially free now, when you're young enough to enjoy the health that you have, the longevity that you have, and using money as a tool to generate both perpetual income as well as the lifestyle that you want right now. Let's look at the numbers just to give you a little dose of reality. 49% of the middle-class Americans are going to retire at or near poverty. If you're watching this right now and you don't think it's you, look to your left, look to your right. It's one of your neighbors. 80% of the people who are working towards retirement are going to fall short of their retirement needs. Only 14% of Americans in the most abundant country in the history of this world feel confident that they'll ever have enough money to retire. And yet millions keep playing the same game, hoping that they're the anomaly to these horrible statistics. That's what I call the ultimate carrot on a stick. It's the retirement dream. It keeps you moving forward just enough to believe that you're making progress, but you'll never catch it. You'll never actually get what you want. That's the frustrating part, and it's hard to hear it. But the good thing is, if you're hearing it right now, it means you're waking up. And awareness is step number one to solving the problem. Here's the thing that woke me up. When Robert Kiyosaki said savers are losers, he wasn't mocking people who save money. He was warning them. Saving is not the problem. Saving in the system designed to fail, that's the problem. I want you to think about this for a moment. You don't actually want money. You want what money gives you: security, options, freedom, a life that you can live without asking permission. Saving is really just deferred spending. That's really all it is. You're saying one day you'll have enough money, and at that time you'll start living life on your terms. But what if that day never comes? What if your dreams never come to fruition? What if you never have enough money to start saying yes to the life that you've dreamt about? In that scenario, you've lost more than money. You've lost the game of life. So here's the question that blows the whole game open. How big does your retirement account need to be to replace your paycheck without running out of money in retirement? Now, most advisors, they either can't answer this question or they'll do everything they can to avoid it. Because once you know the answer to this question, you realize the math behind the system. The system doesn't work. That's why Robert Kiyosaki said savers are losers. But here's the real answer. It's called the 4% rule. If you're putting your money in Wall Street's system, you can only distribute 4% of your net worth to give you the highest probability, the highest opportunity of not running out of money during retirement. Now, it sounds smart. I get it. It might even sound scientific, the 4% rule, but here's the math behind it. If you want just $10,000 a month in retirement, you're going to have $3 million saved. Take $3 million, multiply by 4%, that's your $10,000 a month in income. But here's the problem. The median 50-something household, they've got about $270,000 total saved for retirement. That's less than 10% of what they need to generate just $10,000 a month of retirement. And even if you do somehow magically become the anomaly and hit that $3 million mark, the 4% rule, it's not real freedom. It's just survival mode, because it's retiring smaller than the life that you've actually dreamed of just to avoid going broke in retirement. If any part of this feels uncomfortably true to you, that's because it is. The traditional Wall Street Street plan, it wasn't built for freedom. It was built to keep you working, to keep you dependent. That's why I wrote the Retire in 10 Years or Less book, How to Use the Passive Income Machine to Generate Perpetual Tax-Free Income for Life. It's a book that helps high-income earners escape the grind and use money as a tool to buy back both their time and their life right now. This is how you replace, with this system, the Passive Income Machine, you can replace your paycheck with tax-free income in 10 years or less. Inside of the book, I break down the exact system that I use to retire in my early 30s and how hundreds, in fact thousands of clients are doing the exact same thing today, and why saving more, working longer, or hoping that the market recovers is never really the answer. So on the first run of this book, we printed a limited run of copies, and they're moving very, very fast. So if you're tired of following an outdated system, broken financial advice, and a system that was never designed to set you free, and if you're ready to take control, hit the link, grab your copy right now, and let's start building your real freedom right now, right here in the ownership economy rather than the Wall Street world. Let me give you an example. One of my clients, 47 years old, a corporate executive making multiple six figures, he came to me. And like most mid-40 people, he was completely burned out. He had nearly $800,000 saved, doing everything right, but he felt stuck. He ran the math for himself. He ran his own 4% rule. Now, this guy wanted way more than $10,000 a month of income because he had real dreams. So we ran his numbers and we started looking forward. He was on track to maybe, hopefully, with his fingers crossed, retire at the age of 65 with just enough to survive, not thrive. That was the path that he was on. He was burned out at 47. He had almost $1 million, but he wasn't going to have enough to replace his current income, let alone the dreams that he had, for 20 more years. So we showed him the opposite math. We showed him how to reposition his capital, how to build a vault, how to buy his first 2 income-producing assets. And within 6 months, he had transitioned his money off of Wall Street, and today he's replaced 40% of his income already. I want you to take that in for just a moment. With just a couple of simple moves, by taking control over his money, rather than building for net worth with his fingers crossed on Wall Street, he started investing for real cash flow today. That real cash flow perpetuated his system, and now he's 40% of the way to his target in just a couple of months after repositioning his assets. That's the power of focusing on cash flow versus net worth, on retiring in 10 years versus hoping it works out someday. Now the stress that he once felt with work has started to become motivation. He now understands that his job is a source of income. The source of income that he has is now fueling and funneling a system that is actually creating freedom. He can now see a pathway where he can retire not just one day, but retire in his early 50s completely free, generating perpetual income for the rest of his life. Now listen, Wall Street loves to talk about average returns, but here's the truth about average returns. You can't actually spend averages. If you lose 20% in the market, you don't just need 20% to get back to break even, you need a 25% return the following year just to get your portfolio balance back to break even. And that's before you take any income out. In retirement, timing is everything. A bad year early can wipe out decades of savings. And here's the real killer. Losses plus withdrawals, retirement income, are what I call a double negative impact. They're a double hit to your portfolio. Your portfolio drops and you still need income in retirement, and suddenly your recovery window, it's almost gone. It's like trying to heal a wound while you're still bleeding. Wall Street, they just say stay the course, trust in the system, and it's all gonna work out. But meanwhile, when you're draining the tank and it's leaking at the same time, there is no course to follow. You're just draining your retirement funds, and you're gonna face the #1 fear that most people face in retirement: dying broke, running out of money. This is why people panic. They downsize, they delay travel, they cancel their dreams. What was on their bucket list stays on their bucket list. All because they followed a plan that always works eventually, hopefully someday, with your fingers crossed. Here's the thing I want you to consider. You're not saving because it's fun. You're saving because you want freedom, the ability to spend money without asking permission. But that doesn't come from a net worth number on paper. It comes from income that you can't outlive. Perpetual income generated by real assets that always produce income and rise with inflation. Success is not dying with the biggest account balance. Success is maximum spending income for life with confidence, control, and ultimate freedom. And here's the part that really gets me. Most people will never hear this message. They'll keep grinding, they'll save, they'll wait, they'll hope, and then one day they'll get to 65 and they'll ask, is this it? I traded my entire life for this. Not enough money, not enough retirement, not enough freedom, and nothing else to give. They'll realize that they built a retirement plan based on math that never actually worked out, based on a system that was never actually designed to set them free. It was actually designed to make Wall Street rich, to delay your taxes, and to give you whatever's left over. And no one told them until it was too late. This is the strategy that the financial industry doesn't want you to see. And once you do, you'll never trust their plan again. Click it now. Your 10-year clock starts today.